Talked about it yesterday, just that chip on your shoulder. Everyone talking about a neutral AFC Championship game, not even thinking about you guys. How much did that motivate you coming into this?
You better send those refunds.
I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. Back-to-back champs, kings of the north with it. Thinking they can hang with us, still ain't jumped out the porch with it. Long bomb to chase every Sunday, watch him go and get it. Double up on him, then we gon' double down on T. Higgins. Then throw Boyd in the mix, now you really iffy. Every Sunday showing boys how to really gritty. They try to shuffle up the game on us, but they ain't icky. Flip the coin, kick the toe right to the go and get it. Never know what's gonna happen when Joe drop back. He get shiesty in the pocket, I get shiesty on the track. Nobody on the team all pro, that's all cap. Most all around team in the NFL, that's all fact. Ain't came across nobody yet that seem like they can hang with us. They said we couldn't be Buffalo, but see how we call they bluff. Underdogs every week, they keep on trying to label us. Put your money on us, even if Vegas don't favor us. No matter what, we really came up, now it's hard to fail. I dare you come across that middle, Von gon' ring your bell. I know we under they skin, them boys built frail. Eli Apple out there chirping like a next tail. You don't want Salmon Trey to come off them ends. Rita clogging up the middle like a big body Benz. Right behind them Logan and Pratt, the turnover twins. Jesse Bates in the backfield just to clean up the loose ends. We just drafted Cam and drafted Hill. Instant gratification every time that they on the field. We can't go back to what we was, cause that's the loser way. It's been hard to throw on us since we picked up a Woozier. It's like win after win, feel like we could really do it. Zach Taylor doing his thing for the city, I give it to him. And I bet Samaji will find a hole if you give it to him. Hayden Hurst don't need a hole, he just plan on running through him. Just hand it off to 28 and let him do the dash. Getting hit by BJ Hill probably feel like a car crash. Every week it seem like Lou digging deeper in his bag. And if the game on the line, all my favorite money match. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. And we ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. And we ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up.
What do we say, Dolph? They gotta play us! Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Bengals Talk with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'll bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the back-to-back AFC North champion Cincinnati Bengals. Now, do me a favor. If you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that thumbs up. You guys are awesome. I'm up to 2,165 subscribers. As always, I appreciate every single one of you guys. Now, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, why not? Please do so. Please go to the YouTube channel Bengals Talk with Strawberry Ice. Hit the subscription button, hit the bell for the notification, and every time I go live, you'll be notified. Also, exclusively in the YouTube chat crew, we're doing super chats. So if you got something for Blake Jewell you want to ask him, I got Centauri as my other co-host today. You got something that you disagree with either one of them on Twitter, give me a super chat. Or just want to support the show, give me a super chat. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, I'm coming to you from this glorious place down here, the Ice Cave. The Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. So if you're looking for a house to rent, a condo, apartment, if you have a rental property you just don't want to manage anymore, don't want to deal with the headache, sit back, collect your money, give T Properties a call. They'll take care of the rest for you. And you know it. I wear it every single day. And now I know I'm wearing my Bearcats, right? I got Oscar Robinson because, you know, the Bearcats are playing tonight. But we got Jackpot Joey. We got the hats. We got the hoodies. We got the flags. All that's at jackpotjoey9.com. Portion of the proceeds go to the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Fund and the Joe Burrow Fund. We also got the beer, which is made by Brick Brewery. So get down there and get you some delicious Jackpot Joey beer and some cool gear. What's up to everybody in the chat? We got Nicholas, who's first, Pork Chop, Greg Graves, Weather Report, and more. I don't remember you ever commenting. That's a new one, so welcome to the show. Crips in there, Andrew Woods, Brad's, Jerome is in the house, Darth's in there, and Ross. What's up to everybody? All right, let's get to this. So like I said, I have Blake Jewell, but first let's get to my co-host of the show today. He's none other than from Rally Round the Natty, Centauri Miles. What's up, Centauri? What are you doing?
The candle's hot.
Well, don't burn yourself. You're going to burn the whole place down before we start a show.
That's all right.
Oh, my God. All right, let's get to Blake here. What's going on, Blake?
I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Good. We're just talking running backs and Jonah Williams being traded and all kinds of stuff here. So, like I said, we got a comment. The ESPN, and we talked about this on Bengals and Brews. ESPN has proposed a Jonah for Becton trade. Becton has only played one game in the last 2 years for the Jets. That would be the worst trade in franchise history. And also, Becton is a left tackle. We kind of talked about this. I don't see that happening. What do you guys think? Go ahead, Blake. I'll let you go first.
It makes sense that it wouldn't make sense. I agree with that point. But at the same time, I love the upside of Becton. I do think that, it's probably not smart. He's only played few games the last 2 years. He's been hurt a lot. He's only played left tackle. But, if you're talking about a third-round pick, if you're not able to get a tackle at 28, who are you going to get in the third round with that pick? I think Becton, as much as there's a lot of risk when it comes to Becton, but I do think he has upside. I think he can be a very good tackle in the league. I don't think that they do it. I don't think it makes a lot of sense, but I think it's worth just kind of looking at just when you got a guy like that, or he hasn't played a lot, but he graded extremely well his rookie year. So probably not going to happen, probably shouldn't happen, but it's fun to think about.
What do you got, Centaur? What's your thoughts on it?
Mekhi Becton and I have a lot in common. We're both overweight. We both have bad knees, and we both never played a snap in the NFL at right tackle.
There you go.
Beyond that, trading for a guy who hasn't played in 2 years, who you have to make a decision on a fifth-year option on unless you wait until after that deadline has passed. By the way, his fifth-year option is $13.56 million. There's a lot of stuff that, like
dry.
The upside's intriguing because he is a terrific athlete,
right?
But there's just nothing there. There's no substance to go off of, and I know there's the Frank Pollock connection, but at the same time, I care about one thing more than anything on the planet right now, Bengal-wise, which is protecting Joe Burrow and keeping him upright.
Exactly.
My Super Bowl window is about as wide open as it's ever been in franchise history, and I really don't want to play with fire. But with that being said, Jonah's also never played right tackle in the NFL.
But
he also has injury problems.
I would trust him to play right tackle more than a guy who hasn't even played. Am I wrong on that? Blake?
I think you're right with that. I want Jonah Williams to be the right tackle this year. I know it's he's only been a left tackle, but I think he would be fine at right tackle. I trust him more than Becton at this point. But I think if you're going to keep Jonah at right tackle, you also need to draft somebody fairly early.
Oh, yeah.
I like 28 to take a tackle. I like several of the guys that could be there, and I think
Juan freaking Jones. That's who I want, Blake.
Well, the thing is, there's a huge drop off in tackles after those guys. After you get in that big bucket of those first round, maybe second round tackles, I'm a lot less confident in finding a good starting tackle in the third round. So I think you need to pick one early, regardless of what happens in the next month. I would like Jonah Williams to be the right tackle, and I would like to have somebody behind him. Unless I think if you take DeJuan Jones, like you said, I think you just trade Jonah right there.
Oh, I've said that before. If DeJuan Jones is there at 28, I think Jonah Williams to be traded is definitely in play. And with the draft going on, I want a second-round pick. I know people think I'm crazy. I don't think we can get that, but I think we can get a second-round pick for him. But it depends on which way the draft falls there. What do you got there, Centauri?
Stranger things have happened. We've seen teams offer their entire draft for Ricky Williams.
And we turned it down!
We've seen teams turn that offer down. So
that still pisses me off. Sorry.
30 years later.
Yeah, I know.
But with Jonah, I think Jonah's a great contingency plan. He has played right tackle. He did it his freshman year in college at Alabama, SEC. That's not anything to be taken lightly. But man, If DeJuan Jones is available at 28, I think you kind of have to sprint to the podium depending on what the board has fallen like. It also might be a situation where the Bengals are tempted to do something I don't think they've ever done, and that's trade up in the first round. I don't.
Would Jonah Jonah in the second round get you up, or Jonah in the first round?
I don't know what you got to do it, but
yeah.
I would feel a lot. We'll put it this way: I would have a lot of respect for the front office. Well, I already do, but I'd have a ton more if they would have the nads to trade up in the first round and just secure a right tackle and say, we're not fucking with this. This is our guy, and now I can do whatever the hell I want the rest of the way, even if that means not having a second or a third or a first next year.
Well,
whatever.
If you're going to do that, then that makes it even more to go get freaking Foster Moreau, I think. And we got to get a tight end. We have Asiasi. That's our only tight end in the room. That's another one's kind of driving me nuts here. Is like, why haven't we gone and got Foster Moreau? You know,
I think the Bengals have a set price on what they're willing to pay for positions in this market, and Foster maybe wants a little more. Maybe he's still debating between whether he wants to play in New Orleans, which is kind of like the hometown thing for him, or if he wants to come play with Joey B out here. And maybe the Bengals are still stuck on a price. They just might be $1 million apart. Who knows? I don't know what's going on there. But I do think the Bengals have very much started to zero in on the draft. I think they're trying to figure out what they really want to do at right tackle. I think they're trying to figure out what they want to do with Mixon. They've got some other in-house problems that are, I hate to say it's a more dire need because they don't really have a tight end on their roster. But tight end is also like the number 4 or 5 option in this offense on a good day. So it's also not a super huge.
Foster Moreau would be perfect, I think. I don't know. You got to have, I don't know.
Depends what he wants. And I'm going to say that with everybody. I'm interested in everybody in the NFL for the right price.
What's your thoughts on Foster Moreau there, Blake?
I think they need to get him. But like I said, he just said, it has to do with price.
Who else is out there that's worth signing?
Yeah, I think he'd be perfect for what they need. He can block, and he has the athleticism to where, he's a blocking guy, but he can get open, and he can be a threat. It's not just like, we're signing this guy to come in and block. So I think he'd be a pretty good signing for them. But also that's another position where I think they also need to draft a tight end. Maybe you can get Foster Moreau, and then I would re-sign Drew Sample. You got 2 tight ends.
Oh, you're gonna break Dale's heart. Dale just had a heart attack.
The guy can block his ass off. I'm like, he doesn't need to be the star, but if he can block, he can be the 3rd tight end. And then that's where I draft somebody that's an athlete, and that can be a threat. But if you can draft a rookie that is a valuable receiving threat, and then have Foster Moreau who can block and catch, and then have Drew Sample who can block behind him, you're looking pretty good right there.
What do you got, Santori? Anything else? Anything else you want to?
I see the comment for 2 years, 14. I assume that's for Foster.
I would think so.
That would be awfully steep for Foster Moreau at this point in free agency, especially when you're seeing guys. If they're getting multi-year contracts at this point, which is not happening, it's not for that much, not for someone that's been a career backup. And that's not an insult or a slam on Foster or anything.
I think 6 would be the highest.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Remember, they did the same thing with Hayden Hurst last year and ended up being 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of their wheelhouse. I don't think they're looking at any of these options right now being a long-term option. I am with Blake. I think they're probably going to snag someone in the draft somewhere between rounds 2 and 4. They might even double down in the draft. We've seen them do that before at tight end specifically. It just really depends what they want to do. But if it's Foster Moreau, I see it more as a 1 year, maybe $5 million max.
I was thinking 4.5.
Yeah, and that's going to be with incentives. It's going to be one of those things where it initially gets leaked as, hey, 1 year, 5.5 or whatever. And you go, oh, okay, that's not bad. And you're going to hear, oh, it's really 1 year, 3, with incentives to earn up to 5. And it's like, oh,
well, that's the thing, though. If you got Joe Burrow throwing you the ball, you can get these things, because, I mean, look, I keep looking at the examples. Look at CJ Uzomah and Hayden Hurst. They had one really good year and went and got their money elsewhere. And that to me, that's the incentive to come here. And I know you say about New Orleans, but I mean, who would you rather have throw you the ball, Derek Carr or Joe Burrow? I mean, I'm taking jackpot.
Well, I mean, it also depends on the person, I mean, what if I don't know Foster Moreau? What if he was a massive Derek Carr fan? I mean, there are things.
Their teammates last year, so I don't know. Maybe it's familiarity.
I mean, it's just one of those things. You never really know. Yeah, Foster's probably that 3.5. You got 2.6.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot more sense to me.
Mm-hmm. So the other thing that's been blowing up on Twitter and Centauri is broke this down a lot.
Sorry, Blake.
Running backs.
So I took probably 4 hours of my own time today. I was off.
You didn't know you were going to get this hard-hitting information when you jumped on here, Blake. Have you done anything deep dives of the running backs here lately?
Not any that aren't available.
So this was more or less me getting tired of reading Twitter comments about paying running backs, what they're worth, what they're not worth. There is no bias behind this. This is truly just the data telling me what the data says. Take it for what you will. But I went and took the top 20 running backs in terms of rushing attempts, and they almost all had at least 200 attempts this year. I put in their age, their yards per carry, touches, total yards per touch, explosive plays, pass protection grade, yards after contact, elusive rating from PFF. I really just wanted to see, of those top 200 or top 20 backs with 200 more touches, what teams are currently paying them. Mm-hmm. What is the value people are getting out of their running back currently? Because everybody's going to say, there's the whole trend of don't pay running backs, and everybody wants to say cut Mixon, resign Mixon, trade for Eckler. Take all that out the window and just look to see what are running backs actually doing per carry, per yard. What does it actually cost you to get production out of your running backs? And that's what I wanted to see. Long story short, you can sort it by touches to start, just to kind of get an idea. Jacobs had the most touches, followed by Henry, Barkley, Chubb, McCaffrey, Harris, so on and so forth. Sorting it by total yards, it's about the same list, right? Most guys are going to average between 4.5 and 5 if they're the top of their game. You end up with your yards per touch. I wanted to look at yards per touch based on what they're making, which is more productions per dollar. The guy that kind of got floated around, which I thought was a little insane, was Elliott.
I mean, that was me on Twitter today. I kind of threw him out there.
Elliott was on the books for 16.7. Based on his yards per touch, you're paying Elliott $17,000 per yard, or almost $70,000 per touch.
That's pretty good money. I'd take that, wouldn't you, Blake, if I could get that?
Oh, yeah, I'd take that.
I don't want the Bengals to pay that, but yeah, I'd take that to pay me that.
Inversely, the guy that kind of became the gold standard out of this chart was Ramondre Stevenson.
I love that guy.
He's only making $1 million. I know he's on a rookie deal, but that is taken into consideration when you talk about team building and what you can get out of running backs. At 5.25 per touch. Keep in mind, he's also got 30 explosive runs, and he's a decent pass blocker. Mm-hmm. You're paying him 771 yards or $771 per yard, as opposed to Elliott's potential $17,000. So there's a significant drop off.
The crazy thing too, he was sharing touches last year.
Right,
he wasn't even the main back.
So when you look at the dollars per yard, yeah, a lot of these are going to be guys on their rookie contract just because they're not in that second contract. The big money hasn't hit yet. But if you want, you can look at guys where the big money has hit and if it's really worth it. And as much as it is to some people's dismay, he is on this list, and ICE asked me to bring him up. If you look at yards per touch,
You got to bring him up. This is what Twitter's been blown up about.
Our boy Mixon is about 6th in the NFL. Bad 6th, so 14th in the top 20 for yards per touch at 4.65. You really want to be at least 5 or higher if you want to be considered top. He was dead last in explosive running plays, which is just 16 compared to the top back, which was Chubb at 47. Pass pro grade we know is bad. Yards after contact was, I believe, the worst in this group as well. Elusive rating was bottom. And then if you look at that dollars per yard, he's second worst next to Zeke, who we've all said is pretty bad scenario at this point. The number 12.79 for a salary isn't necessarily hard to swallow if you get really good production. But the production per dollar, which is what I really look at if I'm deciding if I want to build a team around someone or have him here, production per dollar for Mixon is just not great.
This is what I brought up.
It's something that needs to be considered.
This is one I brought up off here, right here, Kareem Hunt. That's because that was the other guy I put out on Twitter.
So I didn't put it on the chart, but I kind of ran it on a just a piece of notebook paper.
You looked it up real quick before we started the show.
Yeah. So if you look at the yards per dollar, keep in mind Kareem Hunt very much was splitting carries. He had 678 total yards. And if you look at the potential salary, which is probably somewhere around $3 million for him, he's somewhere around $5,000 per carry, which puts him right smack dab in the middle, which means you're probably an average value. Mm-hmm. And if you look at dollars per touch, he was around 20 grand, which is on the more favorable side. So even at 2, 3, I ran it up to 4 million. It would make sense, especially if he is still hanging around. He was around 5.25 per touch, still less than Joe Mixon. But remember, we're talking about production per dollar as well. If Joe Mixon only cost $4 or $5 million, no one would be saying a damn thing right now.
Oh yeah, that's the whole thing is the money. So with that being said, where do you guys got your running backs here? Blake, I'll let you go first in the draft here. Because that's where I think we're looking at. I don't think we're signing one. I think we're trying to get at least 2 in the draft. Where do you got your? I know Bijan. We're not gonna get him, but after Bijan.
Well, my ideal scenario would have been either keep Ryan or sign Jamal Williams.
I think the Bengals wanted to too.
Yeah, and then draft Jahmyr Gibbs. Mm-hmm. I like the combo of having like a veteran, kind of third down, goal, like a pass blocking running back is your second running back, and then someone like Gibbs who's athletic and versatile and can catch passes. That's what I really want to see out of the running back position this year. Someone that can catch passes. We got Joe Burrow to get somebody that can catch and create space and stuff like that. So Jahmyr Gibbs would have been great, but without a good pass blocking option behind him, I don't know. Like, I still think he's going to be a good player, and I still think he'd be a good pick, but it's a little more sketchy that you don't have that, pass blocking running back behind him.
Right.
I think there's a ton of good running backs in this draft. You can get one in about any round that I would be confident getting meaningful snaps year one. Israel Abanikanda is one of my favorites. I think he's a home run threat. Not going to have a lot of pass blocking there. But then you can find guys that can pass block. You got Roschon Johnson out of Texas. You can get about whatever you want out of a running back in this draft. There's fast
what
guys.
What round do these you guys think that this might come into play? I've been saying between 3 and 5. Is that where you're thinking?
Yeah, 3 and 5, unless they take a shot at Gibbs, which would shock me. But
Gibbs be what, second round?
Early second, probably be a trade back, which who knows if that would happen. But I don't think Gibbs is very likely. But yeah, 3rd to 5th round would probably be the sweet spot for it. Because you can probably get. I know some websites have them going earlier, but I think you can get Tyjae Spears in the 3rd round.
That's the guy I like. I like him a lot. I mean, I'm a Bearcat fan. I watched him kick our ass this past year, so that might be a little biased. I saw him in person, how good he is. That's the one I like. If he's there at 3, definitely 4th round, I'm taking him.
Yeah, and I have a unfortunate bias against very short running backs. So Deuce Vaughn and Devin Atchain are out for me, even though I absolutely love Devin Atchain. I think he's going to be a great player for hopefully a different team. It's just the short running backs just scare me. It's because, like, if you look how many running backs are on what do you say, like 5'9", 5'8",
Mm-hmm.
how many have been successful? It's very slim. It's like, did you say Tariq Cohen?
So it's been a handful. It's not many.
Tariq Cohen's like the only one that I can't think of his name right now. Played for was it the Chargers?
Sproles.
Darren Sproles. Darren Sproles and Tariq Cohen are like the only two that come to mind.
How tall is Gio?
Depending on who you asked, but it was about 5'9.5".
Yeah. I mean, I miss Gio. I say that all the time. I wish I could have kept him, but anyway. So what do you got there as far as running backs to draft there, Centauri? Where are you at on that list?
It depends what the Bengals want to do with the backfield. We keep hearing rumors that they're going to try and overhaul it. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a super overhaul.
Not now.
I do think that they want to add a little bit more speed and some, something a little bit more dynamic out of the backfield for pass catchers. But if the Bengals stick to what they typically do, and when I say typically, I'm going all the way back to like Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
They draft running backs in the 2nd round. They draft running backs that are about 5'11" to 6'2". They draft running backs that are about 200 to 225. And they draft running backs that run a little bit upright who like to lower the shoulder. You want to go Dylan, you want to go Rudy, you want to go Hill, you want to go Chris Perry, you want to go Mixon, whatever. They're all kind of the same type of back. Even with Rudy on the shorter end, didn't offer as much out of the backfield, but they look for a type.
Mm-hmm.
If they stick with that, you're probably looking 2nd or 3rd round for a Zach Charbonnet if the board falls your way. But if they decide to get away from that, they're probably going to keep Mixon and then go with the complement.
Well, I guess that's my next question. At this point, I think they're keeping Mixon. I don't know what do you guys think about Blake? Or do you think they're keeping Mixon, or are they still cutting him? Or I love to restructure him, but I don't know where they're at on that. I think Mixon's are starting running back next year with Travion Williams and a guy we draft behind them. What do you think?
Well, they're not going to do anything without a plan, and at this point, with all the top, free agent running backs gone, and the draft isn't for another month, I don't think they're itching to get him off the roster or figure out what they're going to do.
Right.
I think it's just they're going to see what happens. I think they're going to – something that I could see happening is they almost treat the rest of this offseason like they have no running backs, kind of, draft somebody, maybe bring in a veteran, something like that, and then they'll just evaluate that position afterwards. Because I don't think there's a huge, pressing demand to get rid of Mixon right now. I think that it's something that you can take your time and kind of just see how everything falls into place and then make that move.
Well,
I think I've kind of lean more towards him playing in Cincinnati this upcoming year. I do think that's the way it's kind of seeming like it's going to fall into place. But I just feel like if they were going to cut him, it probably would have happened sooner. And they probably would have signed someone like Jamal Williams. So I don't know. It's kind of a mystery at this point. I do. Like I said, I lean more towards I think he'll be playing for the Bengals next year.
Well, so you guys think there's any chance that they'll just go with 2 rookie running backs next year?
I don't think so. I think
No?
Travion Williams would play ahead of a rookie if they took 2 of them.
As it stands right now, I think the running back room is very similar to the right tackle room. They have a guy there. They have a guy there what they're willing to start. They have a guy there they're willing to pay. I think they're going to wait and see how the draft goes. If the right person falls to them and they can take that person and then get out of Jonah or get out of Joe or whatever they need to do, they will. But I think they're comfortable with Joe. I think they're comfortable with Jonah. I mean, they asked Jonah to play right tackle, and they've, backed Joe Mixon the entire time. And if they really, really wanted to cut him and it was about getting him out of Cincinnati, that would have happened already.
Right.
They also have the luxury of not really having to cut him until after June 1st. Granted, you could do that right now and make it a designation, but I think they've also shown that, we don't have to, and we don't necessarily need to. We don't really want to. I think they're just going to wait and see how the draft goes. If they do land someone like, say, I know I've said his name twice. It's not that I'm a homer. It's just a philosophy fit. If you land someone like a Charbonnet, then they'll maybe pair him with someone that's a little speedier, and you can get out of Joe Mixon.
Right.
If you don't land that Charbonnet guy and you've got Mixon, then they'll go out and get a veteran or an undrafted free agent to kind of back up Travion. Then Travion's going to take on your number 2 role. They've got several different directions they can really go, and I don't think, especially with the way the league's evolving with running back, that it's super high up on their priority list right now.
All right, real quick, Blake, you said 30 minutes. You got to go, or can you stick around for a while longer?
I'll stick around a little longer.
Okay. All right, cool.
Just gotta drive home.
Okay, I know he's at work right now doing this for us, so I don't want to keep you.
I got off at 5:30, so
there you go. All right, let's get to a couple questions here. I said if we combine Joe Mixon and Jonah Williams in a trade, who would we get for them in your guys' opinion? I don't think you're getting much for Mixon. I think you're getting more for Jonah Williams than you are Mixon, in my opinion, especially at the prices that they're at.
If you actually got someone to bite on that trade with $25 million of cap that they're absorbing, you're not going to get much in return because someone's absorbing that cap.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking late round picks or junk off the bottom of the roster that they're looking to get rid of, or a problem player. No one's going to absorb $25 million in cap and give you a high draft pick unless the guy they're getting is like, quarterback, top tier wide receiver, someone that really changes the game. Jonah's a mid-tier tackle. Joe is at the moment, like, I will go by what my data says, an overpaid average running back. You're not going to get much if you paired them together.
All right, Matt, I don't know who this is. Matt, do you got MJD?
Reese
Matt?
Jones, Drew.
Yeah, short back. He was 5'8".
Oh, he was that short.
Yep,
that's a
good little guy.
I thought he was about current. I'm like, I thought he was about current back. So never mind. All right, let's see here. Let's see, Will here. So I wish they'd sign Jack McKinnon and draft a horse like Charbonnet. You guys thoughts on
I
that?
like Jack McKinnon. He's got injury issues.
Go ahead.
That's it. He's got injury problems, but he's a good pass catcher. I think if you can get someone like him and then a true runner, that'd be pretty good.
I think
probably my favorite left. My bad.
Sorry. He that kind of fits the mold of the traditional runner and then third down back. McKinnon does have durability issues, like Blake said. He is also on the wrong side of 30, which the Bengals really do not like doing right now. They've kind of made a point of emphasis of that as of late. But if they would go with Charbonnet, it would be that kind of back to complement him. You'd probably just go a little younger.
All right, let's see here. Will, get on. Do you guys know anyone with compromising picks of Zach they could give Chris Evans in order to bribe him to the playing time? What's up? Like, what's your opinion of Chris Evans? What is he running the wrong routes? They don't trust him. Why can't Chris Evans play?
I think they don't trust him. Because the fans, we all see what he does, and everyone's like, "Oh, he needs to play more." But I feel like a little more goes into it than that.
Right.
I feel like that's just, like you said, it's a trust issue type of thing. He's still young, and the interesting thing I figured out a few weeks ago, if you took every player on the Bengals roster and looked at their relative athletic score, Chris Evans has the highest out of any player on the current Bengals roster. So he's an athlete. I think he's going to get a chance. I
hope so. I've been excited about him since we drafted him.
I would like to see him get more snaps as a pass catcher this year. Kind of bring him in, throw to him out of the backfield. That'd be interesting to see. I don't think he's like bad or anything. I just think the Bengals have, maybe they like Travion Williams more. Travion Williams ran really good last year.
And from what I've heard, he's a better pass blocker too. There's no stats on it, just stuff I've read.
Well, and I think it also comes down to you're paying Mixon like $13 million. Evans isn't going to play over him, and then P. Ryan he's a consistent, trusted blocker. Evans isn't going to get over him, and then Williams just had the hot hand. Williams played great when he had chances.
Mm-hmm. One thing I always learned when I worked with high school is that it's never as good as it looks and it's never as bad as it looks. But there's not a whole lot of great when it comes with Chris Evans. It's always somewhere. It's always going to be somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Just based on personal experience, when I had kids that super athletes and they flashed all the time, and scrimmages or practice, they look great, and parents are like, "Why didn't he play? Why didn't he play?"
That's because you were being a jerk coach to him. That's why.
Yeah, that's why. 90% of the time, they just genuinely didn't necessarily have enough grasp of the playbook.
Right.
They may have had 50% of what they actually needed to know. And, when they're in preseason or they're in a scrimmage, I'll call things that they know and they can look really, really good. But, if I'm stuck calling a base cover 2 the entire time so this kid can eat underneath as a corner, and then the times I got to call cover 3 and he doesn't quite understand where the safety rotates behind him and he gets cooked, it looks really, really bad. The parents don't ever see that because I never let it get to that situation in a scrimmage or a practice, because I'm not about to just embarrass a kid either. I'm going to do things that work for the skill set of the people that are on the field.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I know what the kid can and can't do. I had a situation where parents came up to me and they're like, he looks great on film. I see film practice. Why isn't little Jimmy playing more? And the kid was like, "Oh, I know the playbook." And I looked at him and I was like, "Okay, you got trips wide to the left. You got a motion from the number 3 receiver over to the right. What's our check call?" And he just looked at me and I was like, "Well, that's why we check from 3 to 2 in that situation. You should know this. It's week 8. My guess would be it's just they don't necessarily trust that he is 100% confident in what the checks are and what he needs to do. Verbiage is never really a huge problem. It's the checks and reading stuff live action that get to you.
Well, if you miss the check down or miss the assignment, Joe Burrow can get killed.
Right. So it's probably very much on the lines with what Blake said, that they just probably don't trust him as much as they should. It's not a question of athleticism. It's not a question of can he do it when the ball's in his hand. But unfortunately, getting the ball in your hand a lot of times is step 10 of 10, and steps 1 through 9 need to happen first.
Right, exactly. All right, Blake. What articles you got out? You still writing for All Bengals? You still doing your podcast? What do you got coming out here?
Just the articles right now. I took a little break with free agency from doing the draft, but I got one. I'm not sure when. I want to say tomorrow or maybe the day after coming out. Full profile Michael Mayer.
Ooh.
So that'll be out here pretty soon.
How that brings up a good question. How high up are you on Michael Mayer? Because we do a lot of mock drafts on here, and we did one yesterday, I think it was, and we drafted Michael Mayer at 28, and PFF gave us a C-.
Well, see, probably before the college football season or during the college football season, everyone had him at like 10 or 11 overall.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not sure what happened since then. A lot of people moved back from that, and I didn't. So I still have him about that high. So he's
okay. Good. Sorry. Go ahead.
He's a good blocker. He's everyone was freaking out about his athletic score. That's not a bad score. It's like dead even with Mark Andrews, who's a pretty damn good tight end. Good size. I mean, the things that he doesn't. I mean, the only negatives that I can think of are he doesn't have breakaway speed, which do you really need that out of a tight end? And then the second is sometimes his routes aren't super crisp. But,
Right.
I mean, you got a lot of things here. You got age, you got production, you have size. He's athletic. He's got great hands. He's got about everything you want out of a tight end. And I think he's being very underrated, the fact that people think he can even make it to 28.
You think speed that has something to do with why he's dropped down? He's not the fastest.
I mean, speed doesn't concern me at all. Tight end. I mean, it would if he was running like above a 5 or like a 4.9, but he's 4.7. That's not horrible. He's going to be a possession receiver. He's someone that Burrow can throw to in the red zone. He runs over defenders. If you give Michael Mayer the ball over the middle, he's going to punish a defensive back.
Baby Gronk, baby.
I'd love to have him at 28.
So I have a question. Now, in your rankings, is there how good a shot is there that Mayer or Dwan Jones will be there at 28? In your opinion, like
I never really put together like full mock drafts for other teams. I kind of just focus on the Bengals, but Dwan Jones kind of seems like one of those guys that's too good to be true. He's he has great size. It's like someone like that, I just don't see making it that far. It's like you see every year people.
I said about Michael Mayer too. That's where I'm like, I don't know if either one of them will be there.
Well, these teams every year they fall in love with these offensive linemen picks like 20 to 28. It's like Alex Leatherwood went, I don't even know, 17th.
He went high.
It's like you see teams like that, they fall in love with these linemen, and you see the size of Dwan Jones. It's hard to believe that a team picking like 19 or 20 won't just say, hey, we want the big good blocker.
Right.
Let's take him.
Yeah.
So I think the most likely option at 28 is probably Anton Harrison. But at the same time, he hasn't played right tackle. So
we already had that.
Yeah. Darnell Wright, he's a good option as well. So I think they're going to have a good option. Too.
What you got, Centauri? You want to jump in?
Yeah, when I look at someone like Dwan Jones, who's just a mammoth of a human being.
He's got Shaq-size arms.
And he moves well, and he had good production, and he's the right age, and he played at a high level of college. More years often than not, especially going back in years past, having him slide past 15 would have been like, what's going on? Most of those guys, even the ones that end up sucking, go well above 28. He's a prototypical right tackle for what you really, really look for with the wingspan and his ability to move and the level of competition he played. If he's there at 28, I think it's a situation where you run to the podium and you praise God that he fell. The fact that I'm seeing him consistently fall at 28 makes me wonder if there's something wrong or what. But there's
what I keep wondering.
There's two things in this league that matter. That's your quarterback and protecting your quarterback. And I mean, there's not many good tackles in this draft class, and every measurable and history would back it up with the metrics we look at, point to the fact that he should be a dominant tackle in this league for 10 to 15 years. I don't understand how, when you look at some of these mock draft machines, that he's sitting there even into the early 30s. I mean, if I'm a GM, make fun of me if you want, but if I'm sitting at 15, he's not getting past me.
All right, so question. I brought this up earlier this week. Now, if we have, which we do have this, we have Orlando Brown, Volson, Karras, Kappa, Karras. Anyway, I always mess it up. Anyway, Dwan Jones, a right tackle. Is that the best offensive line in Bengals history? I mean, you got the 2 Super Bowl ones or 3 Super Bowl ones, and we know the last year or 2 years ago wasn't very good, but you got the 88 and the 81 with Hall of Famer Anthony Munoz on there. I mean, that line, in my opinion, it's got to be up there as one of the best we've ever had.
I wasn't alive back then, but just like
thanks, Blake. Thanks, make me feel old.
Just like putting it on paper, I have to see it for a year because this line doesn't have Anthony Munoz.
Right.
It's like I feel like that him being on that line just gives him an automatic. That's the best.
The edge,
just because Anthony Munoz,
it's kind of hard to go against that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I never saw him play. I've seen highlights.
He's good.
or like
He was
some
really good.
clips, but I never got to see him play, unfortunately.
Sorry, were you alive? You weren't alive then either?
No, I'm a 90s baby, dude.
I'm a 70s baby. Let's go.
I don't think the 05 line gets enough credit.
Yeah.
Rich Bram was damn good. Bobby Williams, Levi Jones, Willie Anderson. You had multiple Pro Bowlers, multiple years on that line. I mean, then you go back to the 80s where you have Anderson and Montoya. Or not Anderson, Munoz and Montoya. You get up to 15 where you had, Witt and Bowling and Zeitler. I mean, there are some line. Yes, Steinbach. I mean, you had some damn good offensive lines.
Yep.
If Volson continues to play well, because he was a baseline starter last year. I know a lot of people were head over heels for him because he was the unexpected kind of Cinderella story.
Right.
But that's over now. He is the expected starter. I expect improvement if he's going to be the starter. If Brown does what he's supposed to do, Volson continues to get better, Karras and Kappa stay status quo, and you get something quality at right tackle, it would probably be the best 5 that you've had out there, but I could probably find a better 2 or 3 individuals.
It'd be the best 5 they've had out there, and probably since Witt left.
Right. It would be one of the better 5 they've ever had.
Yeah, I think so. All right, Blake. I don't want to keep it too much longer, but we got a question here for Crip to talk about my boy Josh Wiley. How would you like him as a Bengal?
I'd like him as the second tight end they picked. I like him, but I wouldn't feel super confident with him being the only tight end they select.
I think he's like 5th round. That's where I got him at.
If they were to double down and take like Michael Mayer and then Josh Wiley in like the 5th, I would be very happy with that. It's just, like I said, if he's the only tight end, that would be a little worrisome. Not that he's bad, but it's like 5th round tight end as your starter. That's a little sketchy there. But yeah, I think he'd be a good complement to a 1st round tight end.
All right, Blake, you're at work. You're staying at work to do this. I don't want to keep it any longer. Tell everybody where they can follow you. And I get articles, your podcast, all that stuff. I'll let you plug in before I'll let you get out of here.
It's just right now mostly on Twitter, Blake Jewell NFL, and then All Bengals. That's where you can find most of my work. So
you know, do you need a podcast?
I'm giving it a break right now just because I kind of lost motivation to do it. So
you got Mike Hilton on your show. I can't even get Mike Hilton. I'm so jealous.
That was a lot of fun, but then I sat down to record the next one, and I was talking for like 20 minutes. I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm talking about right now.
That's all right. I never know what I'm talking about.
I would write down a plan, like a 10-point plan of what I talk about.
Right.
I'd get all the way through it, and I'd only be recording for like 20 minutes. I'm like, now what do I do?
I got to make stuff up now. What the hell?
Yeah.
I got you. All right, Blake. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. We'll have to do this again sometime. All right, brother?
All right, we'll do.
Who day?
See.
All right. So now I got Crypt Keeper here. Like Mr. Blake. Remember when ice was growing up, rainbows were black and white on TV? Shut up, Crypt Keeper. I do like the Ric Flair. Whoa. So we're gonna get Foster Moreau signed, or is anything going to happen? Or are we just going to be holding here? Honestly, Satori, if we sign Foster Moreau, I'm okay with waiting on what we do with Mixon, waiting on what we do with Jonah, waiting for the draft. We gotta get somebody in this tight end room.
I would be surprised if they go into the draft without getting somebody. I just don't know if that somebody's Foster Moreau. I'm all for it. If they do, I'd be ecstatic.
Right.
Because even if he's your number 2, he's a very reliable number 2.
Right.
So I would love it. I think they're probably, because they are starting to get a little cap tight, as much as some people don't want to necessarily believe or understand the cap really works. They are cap tight right now, and
that's where they're getting Jonah and Mixon off the books.
Right, but we don't know if they're going to be off the books or not.
Right.
If you intend on keeping them, you have about what? You have about $9 million to play with.
Because it's 17 and 12 is what they both make, I think. One's 17, one's 12, I think, give or take.
All right. So you have 17 for your remaining cap is what you have. It takes $8 million this year to sign your rookies is what it's going to take, which means you're down to actually I think it's 15. So you're down to 7, right? They like to keep 3 for in-season signings or practice squad, which means you're down to 4. If you sign Foster Moreau, that's the last piece you can sign.
Right.
Unless you get rid of Jonah or Mixon.
Which
They don't know if they're going to do yet.
Now,
So,
is that counting not be able to sign? You still got to be able to sign Joe and T, or is that off the books? Is what you're saying? You're saying we're for that, right?
that money doesn't hurt you until a few years from now.
Okay. All right.
None of that money does.
Okay.
If they sign Joe, which by the way they're not going to do until like the 1st of April.
That's because the escrow.
Yeah, because that's when the money gets put into escrow.
Right.
Just quick math. Because the money that comes against your cap is a prorated signing bonus. Let's say he gets the $60 million signing bonus, which has kind of been the average. And that's going to get prorated over probably 11 and a half years, just the way they're going to do it. So we'll call it 12 to make it easy. It's a $5 million hit next year. It's not – that's borderline negligible. If you're willing to keep – and this is the other person that you can kind of maybe cut, maybe not cut. If you're willing to keep La'el Collins for a $4.1 million hit this year to see if he might be able to play halfway through the year, you're not really worried about Joe Burrow's salary or his signing bonus being prorated for $5 million.
Right.
Plus, the cap is about to explode. Right now, we're at 224.2, so 200. Call it 225 million.
Right.
4 years from now, it's going to be closing in, if not over $300 million. So I'm not really worried about having to sign anybody at all because there's nobody on the books for that time yet at all.
Right.
So anybody that tries to get in your head about can they afford this, but they can afford anybody any way they want. It's a matter of just doing it the right way.
Now, Steve's got a great trade for us. Darnell Washington, 28. Trade 28. Jonah to the Falcons for Kyle Pitts.
We're just going to – we don't need wide receivers.
We're just
going to run all the tight ends out there.
We're just throwing stuff out there. But Will has this. But if they could just get Mixon to take a $7 million pay cut, that's his dead cap space.
Yeah, you're not
going to do it.
You're not just going to get him to take a $7 million pay cut.
Just get back $7 million.
That's more than half his salary. And his dead money has already been paid out to him. That's why it's dead money.
Right.
So he's not just going to give the Bengals a check for $7 million. And here's the other thing. If let's say we'll just make it real easy. Let's say his cap hits 14 this year with $7 million dead. So it's 7 and 7. That means he's been paid 7 and now he's also owed 7. If you want him to take a $7 million pay cut, that means he's playing for free this year and not getting a game check.
I don't think he's going to do that.
No, because he already got a signing bonus 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's not – and I'm not trying to make fun of you. That's just how the money gets spread out.
Right.
So he's not going to play for free. No.
Damn it. Why not?
That's why I was like, if you get him down to like 8 or 9, which is half of what he's owed this year, and then somehow do a restructure, which is really hard with a club option, you might have something. But I'm not in the it can be restructured and come out of his money next year. That's true. I don't want him on the team next year. That's the problem I face. I don't necessarily want him on the team this year. I don't like paying running backs more than $4 or $5 million, even if
Tory doesn't want running backs on the second contract no matter what.
Correct. Period.
Period.
I am a stickler about that. Realistically speaking, yes, you can restructure him with his club option. You can make it come out next year. But that means you're probably looking at 9 this year and 9 next year, which puts you kind of back in that sweet spot we talked about on the chart if the production's right.
Right.
But now you're asking someone whose production has faded 2 of the last 3 years to get back on track on the wrong side of, the wrong side of 25, which is hard.
Right.
It's really, really, really complicated. And there's a lot of hoping it gets better. And I'm also not in the camp of paying Mix 9 this year and next year and having to pay T and Joe because that's when those contracts will start to affect you. It's 2 years from now. See, that also gets played into an effect.
Yeah. All right, let's get the natty here. Is anyone really going to trade for Jonah?
Yes.
He's a 1-year rental, and what kind of compensation are you going to get? A 5th round pick, maybe? Second or third.
I'm hearing everything up to a 3. Left tackles are incredibly hard to come by, even the ones that are very average who have roller coaster careers and are hurt. When Jonah's healthy, he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's going to think they can get the knees fixed. Someone's going to think that they can fix them. Someone's going to think that they have the coach that's going to make him more consistent. There's always one person willing to do that. There are currently 8 teams. Currently 8 teams in the NFL that need a starting left tackle really, really bad. And the average market for a starting left tackle is about $20 million. Jonah's at 12.8.
Mm-hmm. So and he's an average left tackle.
Jonah's 60% of the cost of an average left tackle, and he is an average left tackle because he hasn't been paid yet. Someone's going to see that 5th-year option as a means of being able to extend him if it works out, and giving up a 3rd-round pick for an average left tackle, even for 1 year, if you are absolutely back to a wall, is not necessarily a bad proposition.
Exactly. On that note, I think we're rolling out here. We've been on for 56 minutes. And Tori, I appreciate you. Tell everybody about Rally and where they can follow you and anything else you want to plug for. I'll let you
know. Yeah, so I have a podcast with my dad, Cincy James, and Greg Luther. We basically scream into a camera for about 90 minutes.
Just try to get Greg to go into big savage mode.
Yeah, more or less about the Bengals. It is a Cincinnati podcast. If the Bearcats do good, we talk about them. We probably won't talk much about X. I'm just not an X fan. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to talk about the Reds. That was one of the main pillars of the show when we started it, as much as they've pissed us off. But it's Cincinnati Sports Podcast. We started it because my dad and I talk on the phone for 3 hours a day, and we're like, why don't we just record this and put it out there? All right, sure.
There you go.
Kind of how it happened, and Greg and James popped on about 6 months in, and away we went. But
you're taking off now. Did you do your giveaway yet for the Cook's jersey? Did you already do that already?
Yeah, so we did that back in December.
Thought you did. Okay.
Meg Burkhardt won it, and she got a custom-made Ken Riley jersey, which is really, really good. It was
that's awesome.
It was from Cook's. We're doing another giveaway again in December. We're probably going to announce a giveaway tonight. We just wanted for Cincy James to have a couple days with his family. Hope they're all doing well.
Absolutely.
And we'll announce a giveaway that we're actually probably going to give away Monday.
Can I have it? Can I have it? Me.
Did you enter?
Sure. I always enter.
Okay.
I'm automatically entered.
But we're giving away, I think they're both signed, Tyler Eifert poster and an AJ Green poster. I believe that they are both signed. I believe one's framed, if not both of them framed.
And one of those, are those Greg's?
One's Greg's, one is James.
There you go.
We're giving both of them away for saying thanks for 200 subscribers.
Woohoo!
I don't want to brag, but we had like 1,300 views on one of our episodes last week, which was like,
yeah, you guys kicked ass.
The most we'd ever had is like 150. That's kind of where we're floating right now. We woke up the next morning, it said 1,300, and we about shit a brick. So holy hell! But yeah, we have fun with it. There's some slapstick comedy, a lot of goofy sound effects and video bits, but
sometimes you have Rally Dale on there, and who knows what happens.
Yeah, sometimes we have Dale on there, and it just goes off the rails, man.
That's usually what happens when Dale comes on the show. All right, Satori, appreciate you, brother. Go check out Rally tonight, 7 o'clock, right? 7 o'clock tonight?
We're not on tonight, actually.
Oh, you said you're on tonight.
We might announce something tonight, but we're not going to have a show.
Okay.
It would check out Twitter.
Check out Twitter. They'll announce something tonight. Be kind of cool. All right, brother. Who day? All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I geek out on that stuff. Blake, Joel, Centauri know what they're talking about. So we figured out the running back situation. Joe Mixon costs way too much money. We need to go get somebody new. Love you, Joe. Or just please restructure so we can keep you. I'd appreciate that. Anyway, like I keep saying, I am okay with Jonah Williams, the right tackle, but I want Dwan Jones. I'm keeping Jonah until we figure out what the hell we're going to replace him with. Right now, I'm keeping Joe Mixon until we figure out what the hell we're replacing with. And that's where I think the Bengals are at. The biggest thing to me right now is I want Foster Moreau. We have to have him because we only have Ossie as our only tight end in the room. And I need an oi from somebody in the chat. Anyway, let's get to the Facebook groups that led me last year, man. I appreciate every single one of them there. Houday Nation, Houday Legion, Bearcat Ruckus, Radical Reds, the Ohio State Bucknuts, the Ice Bar. And then you can follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Strawberry Ice. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Twitter handle is at Jeff A. Trenopole. TikTok is at Iceman90. I'll be pulling a sound off the podcast later on tonight. Check it out. It's on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Give me a 5-star review. Leave a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. YouTubers, 2,165 subscribers. You guys are awesome. Like I said, I've been killing it lately, getting between 700 and 300 views. You guys are awesome. I appreciate it. Keep telling your friends, telling neighbors about Bengals Talk with Strawberry Ice. Tell them about Bengals and Brews. Tell them about Rally Around the Natty, Tigers Talk, Blind Tiger, Cincinnati, all my friends, these different podcasts. Make sure you guys keep supporting all of us. We all work really, really hard to get this stuff done and hopefully enjoyable for you to watch. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. You know, I got to check my phone to see who I have on tomorrow. I got a really cool guest next Tuesday. I'm very excited, but I will tell you that one tomorrow. Tomorrow is a really cool guest too. I have WWE superstar, Fairfield, Ohio native, Angelo Dawkins on tomorrow. I got to DM make sure we're still good to go. But he said he'd come on tomorrow, and I'm sure Dale will come on, and I'm going to try to get Dale and Angelo to square up, and I'm just going to try to get Angelo to beat the crap out of Dale. I think that'd be funny. Anyway, I see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we sign Foster Moreau. That's just sports, baby. See ya!
Talked about it yesterday, just that chip on your shoulder. Everyone talking about a neutral AFC championship game, not even thinking about you guys. How much did that motivate you coming into this?
You better send those refunds.
I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. Back-to-back champs, kings of the north with it. Thinking they can hang with us, still ain't jumped out the porch with it. Long bomb to chase every Sunday, watch him go and get it. Double up on him, then we gon' double down on T. Higgins. Then throw Boyd in the mix, now you really iffy. Every Sunday showing boys how to really gritty. They try to shuffle up the game on us, but they ain't icky. Flip the coin, kick the toe right to the go and get it. Never know what's gonna happen when Joe drop back. He get shiesty in the pocket, I get shiesty on the track. Nobody on the team all pro, that's all cap. Most all around team in the NFL, that's all fact. Ain't came across nobody yet that seem like they can hang with us. They said we couldn't be Buffalo, but see how we call they bluff. Underdogs every week, they keep on trying to label us. Put your money on us, even if Vegas don't favor us. No matter what, we really came up, now it's hard to fail. I dare you come across that middle, Von gon' ring your bell. I know we under they skin, them boys built frail. Eli Apple out there chirping like a next tail. You don't want Salmon Trey to come off them ends. Rita clogging up the middle like a big body Benz. Right behind them Logan and Pratt, the turnover twins. Jesse Bates in the backfield just to clean up the loose ends. We just drafted Cam and drafted Hill. Instant gratification every time that they on the field. We can't go back to what we was, cause that's the loser way. It's been hard to throw on us since we picked up a Woozier. It's like win after win, feel like we could really do it. Zach Taylor doing his thing for the city, I give it to him. And I bet Samaji will find a hole if you give it to him. Hayden Hurst don't need a hole, he just plan on running through him. Just hand it off to 28 and let him do the dash. Getting hit by BJ Hill probably feel like a car crash. Every week it seem like Lou digging deeper in his bag. And if the game on the line, all my favorite money match. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. And we ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. And we ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up.